What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Tim Hyde. We are live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. We have Notre Dame recruiting. We've got Notre Dame football topics lined up for tonight's show. Appreciate you guys watching live with us, watching back, listen via podcast. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Tim, looking as handsome as ever. How you doing, my friend?
Doing great. Had a great 4th of July. Hope everyone else watching and listening had a great 4th. And now we're on to Notre Dame recruiting, Notre Dame finalizing a few things. Camp starts in a few weeks. So it's exciting time. I know everyone's freaking out, panicking, and things of that nature. But, hey, this is why you're a fan, man. You live for these moments, Mike. You live for them. So it'll be good times. Looking forward to it tonight. We're going to have some fun topics.
This is supposed to be the dog days of summer, right, Tim?
No, not with this stupid recruiting calendar. That's why I keep saying, go back to the old February days, right? And enjoy your summer. Let these kids go live a little bit. But nope, you got to pick a school. So it's the way it is, man.
My coworker Kyle Kelly is on vacation this week. We do the recruiting beat together at Blue and Gold, and yeah, I mean, I always tell people February and July, those are my slower months of the year. If you want to take a vacation, I tell my friends, like, these are the two that I got for you. And yeah, I could not imagine. I mean, Kyle's he's got his vacation going, but goodness gracious, like, this is a brutal week. Man, like, for the personal life combined with this, it's just, I got things going on in the personal life that I scheduled months ago for this week because I thought this would be a nice slow week. And oh boy, it's been anything but that for the recruiting scene. We'll talk a little bit about it, but I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, you subscribe to the blueandgold.com website, which please check out the site. UND1 is a promo code that'll get you $1 for 2 months. And yeah, we're just we're in decision mode with these kids. Like, does Notre Dame land one? Heck, still possible 2 of the receivers. Can they make moves with some of the linebackers? Like, it's crazy town right now. So we are going to see where things go from here. Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. Again, blueandgold.com is your home for all things Notre Dame, Fighting Irish, and football recruiting coverage. Tim, I think that's been 3 weeks in a row now. We've been talking about these EA College Football 25 rankings for various things. We did the toughest stadiums to play, the offense, defense overalls for the teams, and then EA came out with its top 100 college football players for this season. As I was talking to my wife about this game today, Tim, because it comes out for early release people. I thought it was Tuesday. It's actually Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Super pumped up about that. She's like, "What's the big deal?" I'm like, "Babe, you don't understand. I've been waiting for this game for 10 years. This is what I grew up playing. Like, this is pretty big deal." So Notre Dame has 4 players in the top 100. He had Ben Morrison at number 12 with a 94 overall. 94 overall is very, very good. Xavier Watts, the number 28 overall player in the country, with a 92 overall. 74 in the country. Mitchell Evans, 90 overall, and just a few thoughts on him is Howard Cross, 90 overall. So 4 players for Notre Dame, top 100 in the country. Seems pretty fair. I'm just trying to think who else from Notre Dame would really have a case for the top 100. Tim, anyone jump out to you that you think is not or is deserving to be in that list?
The quarterback.
You think Riley Leonard, really?
I mean, I don't know. If he goes out and has a hell of a season, he's probably going to be a top 100 draft pick. So if you look at it like that, so he had a good 22. Had some big, obviously the big Clemson win last year. Dude, I keep going back to Xavier Watts is the hero of last year. He makes the TFL the game-winning tackle on Riley Leonard on 3rd down, and Elko. I know Elko's still kicking himself because he punts the next down on 4th and inches and gives the ball back to ND. So, man, he's an inch away from getting another big win last year. So, just looking at the quarterbacks, I didn't see all the breakdowns and all that. I did see the top 10. I saw Georgia had an offensive lineman in there. I thought that was pretty awesome. So that guy's a mauler. But off the top of my head, Morrison's obviously elite. He's going to be way up there. Watts being a unanimous All-American last year, I'm a little surprised he's like pretty low. So, that's a little surprising when you're coming back and you're a unanimous All-American as a junior. You think he would be a lot higher than he is. But Evans, hell of a tight end, and obviously Howard Cross in his All-American season. So those four totally deserving. The only fifth would be Riley Leonard. Just have fun with him in the game.
Yeah. All right. I'm actually able to. Let's see, Tim. We're doing this live here. Quarterback. So you're able to sort it. So here is the quarterback rankings.
It's on their webpage.
Yeah. So you had overall. Here it is. Okay. So Carson Beck, Shador Sanders. This video game, they love Colorado.
Well, it's the hype. It's the neon Dion effect. So,
but them having Colorado in their top 25 defenses is nuts. So Beck, Sanders, Gabriel, Ewers, Milrow, Daniels, Dart, and then Liberty? Yeah, Liberty's Caden Salter. I mean, I don't know if I'd put right now. I mean, Tim, your point of just what have you done for me lately? It makes sense. He's not in the top 100.
So that's just top 10. And I would put I thought, Riley's definitely a 10 to 15-ish type quarterback. So if they're only doing top 10, that makes sense.
Yeah. So this is 8 guys. So he would be in the top 10. Now, there was one other thing that I found interesting. Let me do the filters here. Can we do team, independent?
God, Mike, you've been on this thing way too much already.
No, this is the first time I've been on this site, but okay. All right, let's see. All right, so look at this speed for Howard Cross. They gave him a 75 speed. That is really good for a guy his size. I noticed that earlier today. Jack tweeted that out. I was like, Howard Cross got a 75 speed. Okay. Howard Cross can run some guys down.
He gets off the ball. When you watch film, that's the one thing. But yeah. I don't know how these guys do this thing. It's all fun and games. 86 speed for. I'm reading some of the comments and all that. But yeah. I mean, Cross is a stud. Someone, I was chatting with someone on the message board. They were talking about, D-line and things of that nature. I'm like, yeah, Notre Dame's got an NFL D-line this year. It's like, do we keep forgetting Cross is a 6th year, Mills a 5th year? These are NFL dudes that it's a huge luxury for Notre Dame. So Mills being on the freak list, and obviously he's been a multi-year starter. I thought he would be on the cusp, but especially with Notre Dame's going to be a preseason top 10. I thought they would have had more than 4.
Okay,
break it all down.
Yeah. Now, did you figure out if you're getting the game? Because I remember you texted me about it recently.
I don't think I'm going to run out on Monday because it's not download. It's not on PC or any of that stuff. You have to physically get it on this one.
No.
I still haven't.
I got my Xbox right here. You can. So it's a digital download on Xbox.
Okay.
So, but yeah, you can't get it on a computer, just like a PC,
gotcha.
Which is unfortunate. But I didn't know if you had went out and got a console or.
No, I haven't. No life with kids and other priorities, Mike. Than trying to figure out.
Well, how old's your oldest?
Oh no, believe me, he's ready to go. He's like,
all right, that's what I'm saying.
My little brother's gotten it. He's already prepped, so I know he's doing the Monday thing. So, he's taking the day off of work. I was like, buddy. So,
hey man, I've got 3 more months before I become a dad. So
yeah, but even that, the baby's sleeping and you're playing, Mike. So you'll knock it out. You'll be fine. I mean, believe me, you'll be cracking a couple. You'll be playing a quarter while the little one's knocking out a quick nap. So take advantage of it while you can.
Let's move on. Ivan Taylor, Tim. This one, oh man,
Notre Dame's still on the RPM, Mike. They're still the highest there. So there you go.
I kind of go back and forth on how I feel about how this one came together, and kind of reflecting on my reporting on it. We all saw it coming, but also there was so much optimism. And especially when I heard last week that it wasn't going to be Bama, it was going to be Notre Dame or Michigan. I was like, dude, I could see Notre Dame beating out Michigan. So it's just one of those deals where, I guess shame on me for thinking that Notre Dame could keep him, because we've talked about this, Tim. If you're committed to Notre Dame and you take official visits elsewhere, you don't sign with the Irish. It's been a decade, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically how how it works. Especially when you're a young man out of Florida in the top 100, right? So it's kind of way the pieces start to fall there. So it's kicking the pants, especially when you lose a highly ranked player, especially down in Florida. We've talked so much about Florida with this class and the hard work they've been doing really since Freeman's taken over, getting down there, and then obviously the connections, the Pittsburgh Steeler things, all those. It sucks. It really does when all this started to break out, and it's now it's like, well, playing time, which me personally I laugh at, because what safety's better than him who's signed in the last 3 years?
There,
None. So that's just my take. I think that's just ridiculous, but that's my opinion.
yeah,
I mean, Ben Minnick, going to beat him out? I don't think so. I don't think any
he
of
was
them
going to play Notre Dame. Notre Dame, no.
So,
Are you saying that the message board or something was talk about playing time, and that's why
they're getting all this, and then you see stuff on Twitter. Well,
Notre Dame told him he was going to play as a freshman. Like Notre Dame fully anticipated him playing as a freshman and told Taylor that. So it's not that. It's not NIL. It was just a mix of a few other things, and that's the direction the family wanted to go. So,
and you hear obviously your conversations and all that, O'Leary leaving, I get it, the whole relationship thing, but then it's interesting. The biggest relationship he had outside of that, when you read, start piecing articles together, is with the Bama coach who was at Wisconsin, who almost nabbed him, and then he ends up going to Michigan, who has a completely new coaching staff. So that's that's my take. Who's been involved with recruiting and player signing and visits all these years? Is the relationship talk is overkill as well. It's
100%.
It's excuses for people to get out of it, and damn well, at the end of the day, some dudes, man, when push comes to shove, they're like, I just don't want to go to South Bend. And that's true.
Yeah. Tim, I'm sure you agree with me, and I would love a show where we can just agree for 45 minutes to an hour. That'd be great. Blake Fisher, 3 O-line coaches in 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? 2 OCs in 3 years. You can't go to a school thinking you can't go to a school for a position coach. You just can't do it.
No,
you can't do it. I would love someone like at the Athletic or something to do the data, pull or pull 100 players, 200 players, 1,000 players, whatever, who are no longer playing college football. How many assistant coaches did you have, or position coaches did you have? And there's not going to be many who had the same all 4 years. Now, just Clarence Lewis could say that, for Mike Mickens, but that's rare. It's rare to have a position coach for more than 3 years. Sometimes it's just a couple years. So, so in recruiting, it's got to be just more than that. And I think that Notre Dame's done a really good job in recruiting with such a full group. I talk about this a lot, Tim. You got Freeman's involved, the coordinators involved, the position coaches involved, sometimes a second position coach, and then Chad Bowden plus another recruiting office guy. So to me, when you hear that, O'Leary was such a big deal for Ivan, I don't discredit that, but to me, it just sounds like he just wanted was looking for a reason to get out. And that was kind of what started it. That's my read on it. It sucks though, Tim, because he's a really good player. He was one of my probably 2-3 favorite players in the class. But yeah.
Well, on top of that, you're like, that's a great point. Go get 100 NFL guys and see, especially at Notre Dame. Notre Dame assistants move around more than so many other colleges. It's just it's the nature of the beast. And if you're an NFL guy, Taylor, all Taylor has to do is talk to his dad. how many assistants did his dad have? Position coaches. Luckily he was with the Steelers and they're, solid. I don't know if he had the same coach all the time, but heck, man, the NFL, most of these NFL coaches don't even get 2 years on the job. So if you're in the NFL, you're constantly changing over. So it's fascinating. And the whole, him bailing. I mean, sometimes at the end of the day, man, it's just kids just are looking for ways, especially O'Leary, when everyone wanted O'Leary fired the last few years for his horrible recruiting. And now he gets a great guy, he leaves, and the kid leaves. So nature of the beast.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to a source this week about it. Like, was CO that good? Like, was O'Leary that good of a recruiter? Because I always liked him. Really good personality, relates well to the kids. But I was just shocked to hear from Blair just like how much it dropped Notre Dame down on his list, and Taylor opening up because of O'Leary. So I was like, I thought he was good, but this good? But yeah, I mean, he did a really good job. But in my opinion, I don't know if Notre Dame gets Blair if it weren't for Mickens taking over that recruitment. Mickens and Golden did a tremendous job. I think Notre Dame might have eventually slipped down his list. So here's another thing, Tim, we talked about a little bit this week. I believe Pritchett asked me in my video with him. We've talked about a little bit on the message board. This is a hypothetical, but does Notre Dame keep Ivan Taylor if Blair goes to Michigan? Because you hear rumblings that Taylor wasn't fired up about the Blair commitment to Notre Dame when they played two totally different styles at the position. They could be on the field at the same time. It's a little surprising, that take. But again, I'm going back to, I think he just wanted to go somewhere else, and just kind of, these are reasons that are okay to come up with, instead of I just don't want to go play at Notre Dame.
No, exactly. Notre Dame plays a 5 DB defense. So Blair is a deep to play the deep. It's a 5 DB defense. This is what Notre Dame runs. So they need DBs. I've been talking about it for months upon months, how this is why this class is so big, because I thought they under-recruited the DB. That's why they've had to go to the portal so much the last couple of years to get bodies, because they haven't recruited enough DBs. But this year is a big DB class, and now obviously one of the studs leaves. So I found that weird. I think, once again, that's the excuse when you start hearing about playing time. It's like, dude, you're playing. Nobody they signed the last few years are better than you. So they're just not.
Yeah. So fair play to Michigan. He's really good. And Notre Dame would have loved to have him. So even with this, though, Tim, Notre Dame still has with the three corners, Cree Thomas, Dallas Gold, Mark Zachary, your two safeties, Ethan Long and Jadon Blair, that 5-man group, and we'll talk about the potential 6-man to replace Taylor, with some interesting stuff there. Like, this has still got to be one of Notre Dame's best defensive back classes. Since when, Tim? I am all ears. Like, still, even without Taylor, like, if Notre Dame doesn't land some of these receivers, like, they're in trouble, right? They can't really afford to have any losses there. But they can, like, DB recruiting is so much better that you can lose one of the premier players, not only in Notre Dame's class, but in the country, and it's still okay. It's pretty darn good.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's still, you got 3 guys hovering around, in the top 150. Obviously you got Zachary, Golden, and Blair. I was looking earlier today. All 3 of those are in the top 10 by at least one service in their position group. So that hasn't happened in a long time at Notre Dame. They have 3 in the top 10. So you got 3 nationally ranked guys, and obviously, Thomas and geez Louise, I can't even think. Thomas out of Brophy, and Long out of Connecticut. There, no, it's 5 good ones. You got 3 out of the 5 are blue chips. But yeah, it's funny you say that. I actually just wrote this down. 2019, Mike, on paper, 4 out of the 5 are blue chips. Yeah, it's Kyle Hamilton, Isaiah Rutherford, who transfers, Litchfield Ajavon. How about that? He left. KJ Wallace was a blue chip, and then the other is Cam Hart, who ended up moving. But no, it's a heck of a group. It's definitely up there with some of the best ones. Really probably since 2013, which was Redfield. What did I got written down? Cole Luke. Yeah, those two up not. But you got 3 out of the 5 in the top 150. Yeah, it's big time group.
Brandon Logan, Fort Wayne Snyder. We've talked about a little about him. Vanderbilt baseball commit, Notre Dame was kind of looking at the Jordan Faison route with him, but the feeling is that I think they're just going to go straight football scholarship. Like Notre Dame is pretty sold on him. And yeah, I mean, he looked really good at their camp. We got to see it at Irish Invasion last month. Ran a couple 4.4s. Tim, I can't remember doing this, but I guess you said we did pop on his tape here recently. Notre Dame's had a good track record with these recruits from Fort Wayne. What do you think about Brandon Logan?
You know what? He's a solid athlete. If he was just a straight football player, I mean, obviously we would have heard about him a long time ago. Heck of a baseball player. If anyone just studies some baseball or read about him on baseball, he sounds like he's going to be a draft choice. In the top 10 rounds, which may not sound like a lot. That's unbelievable in baseball. So he's going to have a decision to make. Does he go to the minor leagues, or does he is his future, Major League Baseball? I've watched his baseball highlights. This dude could play, man. He's freaking good. But if he ends up playing football at Notre Dame, he's an athlete. He'll be a rover, strong safety, down in the box type of guy. Very physical. When you watch him tackling, there's a great clip right around the 235 mark, seeing him in the goal line, fighting off blocks, creating a great solo tackle in the alley. So, he's a solid football player. He's probably your typical 3-star out of Indiana. There's your Drew Tranquil type of reference. You want to go from there. So
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with him. I mean, seriously, when you watch him, he's not a stick in the mud whatsoever. He's going to be. That's why I call him a box safety, down in the box coverage type of a guy. True strong safety, like a Gilman type of a guy. Body frame, physical. Just using him as a reference. The kid can run around. If he chooses Notre Dame, then that's 60B. So they must, to be able to, if Notre Dame, that's just looking at his recruitment. If they truly want him and they offer him and they take his recruitment, then they're thinking he's going to be a better football player down the road than saving that spot for, another Hurd, another Clark, another, oh my God, I can't even think, Harper. Oklahoma State. Me personally, that's what I would do, man. Some of these positions, if you miss out on some guys, dude, just save the spot for the portal. DBs, receivers, DNs, there's 1,000 of them. You could go find a quality upperclassman DB. So, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Lux just said this is the end
right there. It's a hell of a football player right here. It's one of my favorite ones. Just watching him as a football player. He's got good instincts, good physicality. But there's a lot of these on his film, so we'll see what happens.
So Lux says this is the Notre Dame special right here. Now I don't know if he's trying to be sarcastic or not, but I mean, listen, some kids just don't want to go to Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame can't recruit everyone, so we've talked about this. Notre Dame, in some aspects, has to be a developmental program. Not like they don't want to take all 3 stars everywhere, but Notre Dame, when you look at the bottom of the class, there's going to be 3 stars. I don't care if it's Brian Kelly, if it's our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, or if it's Marcus Freeman as the head coach. Notre Dame is going to take 3-star developmental players at the bottom of the class. And if it's Brandon Logan, when you dive into the context of he's a fantastic athlete, Vanderbilt baseball commit is no joke. Ran 2 sub-4.5s at Irish Invasion in the 40-yard dash last month. And he's been doing this, Tim, as a baseball player, playing football on the side, pretty much. Like
I mean, you said he is an athlete. When you do a little research, obviously some Notre Dame fans watching this would just be like, "Oh, we just lost." Believe me, no one wants to replace a top 100 kid out of Florida with a 3-star baseball player. Nobody does, but he is a damn good athlete.
Yeah.
Do a little homework on this kid. You'll see this dude is a legitimate future pro baseball player.
Yeah. Here's the other thing, Tim. He is not a Taylor replacement. They were going to take Brandon Logan anyways. Now, he might be the scholarship replacement in a way that the Taylor scholarship basically is now going to Logan if they're able to flip him from Vanderbilt. But they were fully planning on taking Brandon Logan regardless. He was just going to start out at baseball. Now I think he's just going to come right on football scholarship. So they fully plan to get Brandon Logan in. Like he's kind of he was a special deal that they wanted him after Invasion, and it just kind of works out that he's also a really good baseball player, so you can get him in on baseball scholarship. The baseball coaches like him, so that's kind of the deal there. So I don't know. I'd be excited. I think Brandon Logan would be someone that would be one of those lower ranked guys that I would invest some hyping up or whatever you want to call my alts. But also I've swung and missed. Jaden Bellamy is one of those guys for me, and he didn't pan out at Notre Dame at all. So we'll see with Logan. But if Notre Dame's able to get him, I think that he could be a really good one for the Irish.
But if he is a scholarship guy, that's the thing. It's like, and you're talking about developmental guys. Well, now you got 3 high-end 150 top 150s and 3 3-stars. But as we say, a third don't make it, right? So we'll see which one of those don't. And what's the odds of all 3 in the top 150 making it, Mike?
No. So you got 6. 2 will leave pretty soon. 2 will be decent players. 2 will be studs. Isn't that how it goes, Mr. Hyde?
Yeah, well, like I told you, they signed 4 top 300 DBs in 2019. The only one that ever played was Kyle Hamilton. 4. So, sometimes that's what happens, right? When you look at the rankings. And then you got the 2016 class, which is all 3-stars, and 3 dudes went to the NFL, and 1's in the Pro Bowl, and Julian Love. So, all 3-stars.
Yeah.
That played in 2 playoff games.
For folks who, I didn't really plan to go on a rant, Tim, but for folks who are wetting their pants right now about Notre Dame recruiting and just like you're very upset about where things are going. First of all, like let's see what happens here with some of the guys, the Meadows, your Robinson, the linebackers. Like let's see first of all, but second of all, Notre Dame still has one hell of a recruiting class. Like they have the quarterback. They have a really good trio of offensive linemen. The DB class is outstanding. Like it is still going to be one of the best 10 recruiting classes in the country, which is what Notre Dame has continued to do under Marcus Freeman. And we've done this recently. We've went and looked at Brian Kelly recruiting under Notre Dame, just going based off recruiting rankings. You had all sorts of ranking classes in the teens and the 20s. It's not happening in Freeman. It's been between 6 and 11 his first 3 recruiting classes at Notre Dame. So just let it play out. Mark with glasses saying wide receivers. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Meadows, Robinson. I think if they get one of them, then they will still try to see who they can get early in the season. We've seen Notre Dame do this over the years. They either try to flip a big fish or they find someone who's popping out, like KK Smith is the perfect example. A couple of years ago, they identified him with some film that came out from his senior year. He had one offer, as Texas Tech. They go out and flip him late. And I think KK Smith is going to help Notre Dame a lot this season. I think he's going to be one of the surprises for the offense.
So let me ask you. Let me ask you this. What? Yeah, I mean, the last 24 hours, people are like losing their minds, and it's like Meadows. I mean, I'm going to talk like a giant outsider who's just reading it. It's like Meadows had always talked about wanting to commit before his senior season. So was that going to be August? Then he gave the hint like, yeah, he's going to do it sometime in August. I think it just spooked people, like he's just come out saying, boom, no, I'm going to do it this weekend. So now everyone's automatically, well, Notre Dame has always been in his upper tier. So who says he can't pick Notre Dame this weekend if he's always been there? The lure of the SEC, big time football down there. We get it. LSU, I mean, they close their eyes and they develop wide receivers. It doesn't matter who the hell the coach is. They develop wide receivers. Alabama's got a hell of a head football coach who 3 of his wide receivers just got picked in the top 100 from Washington. So I get all that, but there's been no out there like he's picking them, he's picking him. He hasn't even said it, from when you read your reports and everything. So Notre Dame's right there. The Hines thing is, I said weeks ago, and it always felt like SC. Scott Schrader, who's on 3 USC, one of the best dudes I've ever met. I mean, he's been talking about Hines for months, like he's coming to SC. That was always his prediction. And then Robinson was always a late guy. So they're always playing catch up, so to speak, trying to get him away from the West Coast. So, and it's still Notre Dame is wide receiver where the other Pac-10 schools are Pac-10. Jesus, Mike, we don't have a Pac-10. What am I thinking? Yeah, exactly. But you know what I mean? Washington and UCLA, the Big Ten. I can't even believe I said Pac-10. Jeez Louise. But they want him to play defense. So that's going to be a personal decision for him to be, do I want to play wide receiver or defense? So it's not like Notre Dame is doing a horrible job. And I just don't understand what they go 0 for 3, Mike, and it's just, and you lose three guys to SC, Washington, LSU. Yeah, that'll suck.
If they go into August with their receivers being Jerome Bettis and Elijah Burris, good football players. I think Burris is one of the more underrated guys in the class. But if you just have 2, and it's not like marquee household names, like they're the lineage household names for sure. But it's not a Meadows. That's not one of the highly ranked big name guys. There's no sugarcoating it. There's nothing like. There's nothing like what there's it's bad. It's not a great receiver class. You wanted 4 or 5 and you're going in with 2. Like there's nothing you can say. It's just not good enough. But you still do have the season to salvage something, right? If Meadows goes to LSU or who knows, Bama, they're still going to try to flip them. Guarantee you they're going to keep trying to flip them, get them on campus this fall. And here's the other thing. One recruiting class does not make up your entire room. You have guys from the 2023 class, 2024 class. I would say 2022, but they're all gone. Your 2021 guys will be gone. But you have other classes. You have the portal. So everyone just pissing their pants about wide receiver recruiting in this class being the reason that Notre Dame's not going to win a national championship. Like it. Do you remember last year the 4 they signed? Was it 3? Was it 4? Saldate, Gilbert, Williams. Was there a 4th, Tim?
Gilbert. Just those 3, right?
Okay, it was just 3. Right. It's a really good class for Notre Dame. It's gonna be okay. Yes, they need to land impact playmakers at the position. We're not doubting that, but it's not going to fall apart because they didn't do it in the 2025 class.
Mike, love you, and I don't want to argue with you, but this is wide receiver recruiting. If they go into August and these high school guys are playing right now and they only got those 2, then what the hell happened? Because your 2 blue chips are already gone from the 23 class. Your 1 receiver in 22 is gone. The odds of all 3 of these guys hitting from 24, heck, they're already talking about Cam Williams, who's the highest ranked one, is a developmental guy. So will we see him?
He's a year away. He's a year away.
Yeah, exactly. A year away. That means 2. Sometimes it's like, once again, going back to Braylon James and these guys, you tell me you can't get them on the field and go out run somebody, but we're not there. So this was a big class. This goes back to your point, Mike. They wanted the same thing with DB. They haven't been loading up with guys. They just haven't. That's why they've had to go to the portal. That's why they had to go to the portal to get 3 wide receivers this year. They are going to have to go to the portal next year to get 3 guys because what's the odds of Colsey and Thomas wanting to come back for a 5th year? They're going into year 4 and they haven't done anything. So this was a big year. And Meadows, but even Meadows, I mean, you and I have talked many times before where Meadows, he got so much hype for catching passes in T-shirts and shorts. He hasn't done it at Gorman. So it was a camp. All of a sudden, a couple of camp Twitter feeds and everyone blows up, and now he's the 50th best player in the country.
I'm confused what point you're trying to make here.
But he hasn't done it.
So is it going to be okay or is it not? Because you started by saying it's not going to be okay.
Oh, no, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. I mean, believe me, you always want to take a dude who's 6'5" and runs fast as hell.
Yeah,
You're
they'll
always
end up
going to
with
take a Derek Meadows. So yeah, if you don't get them, Mike, and you only have 2 going in, last year's class we still don't know about. I don't, I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of those guys don't play much because they got all these older guys.
yeah, they'll end up with I would guess 4. It could be 3. They're not just going to take a kid just for the sake of taking a kid, but they'll probably end up with 4. I'm more you're saying number of games. I'm more about the impact player game. I mean that's they need to.
But the
KK
impact player game,
KK needs to hit. Williams has got to develop. Gilbert
KK, that's the other one we forgot. Yeah.
Burris needs to. Oh, that was 2023.
Yeah.
2? Was he
No,
2?
that was
No,
23. Mike. That was 23. He was the late addition. You've had Saul Dalty and
Well,
KK.
no, those guys were 24.
Yeah, have been the last one. No, KK redshirted last year.
Yeah.
So he's 23 with Greathouse, Flores, Braylon.
Oh, yeah. They ended up with 4. Yeah.
But
so,
but now you're
Greathouse
asking.
has got to hit
Yeah, and Greathouse going into year 3 next year already. So you're starting to wind down when you start looking at 2025 and a brand new quarterback. And yeah, I mean, Notre Dame, let's just be honest. They struck out a ton at wide receiver.
They did. It's not good.
Pot of Gold Day was a whiff. Well, they got Bettis. That's their one pot of gold offer the last couple of years. But it's just one of those. It's just one of those positions, man. They just can't get guys to sniff at them. They just can't. I think what's frustrating.
I think Bettis will help Notre Dame. I think he'll be a fine player. I don't think he's going to be like push him closer. He can be a fine, he can be
Corey
a good
Robinson
player for Notre Dame.
Player. That's what I'm hoping he could be.
Say again.
A Corey Robinson type player who came in some big plays for Notre Dame at times. Can he do that? He's a better DB to me when I watch it.
Yeah, I like him at safety.
That's.
Yeah, I was talking to a source with great knowledge of all this week, and what the Bettis thing, we're kind of in agreement. Like Bettis can be a good player at Notre Dame. I was like, do you see Notre Dame ended up playing him at safety? And the feeling is like it's possible, but receiver. And that's we'll see. But the feeling is receiver right now. Burris, we got to see him at Arch Invasion. I thought he had a really good day. Struggled a little bit here and there, going up against some really good DBs in the rising junior class. But overall, I think Burris is going to be really good for the Irish coming out of the slot. But we'll see where they go from here in the 25 class.
Yeah, and you're right. And it's like everyone keeps talking about Notre Dame doesn't land any. Notre Dame has landed some top 100 dudes at receivers. They just haven't panned out. I mean, it's seriously right. Jordan Johnson was a freaking dude. Tobias Merriweather was a dude. Braylon James was a dude last year. Colsey was Styles. I mean, these are top 100 dudes. They just haven't panned out. So it's not like they're signing,
on paper, it's not bad.
Was it Brunel or Bruel, the guy who went to Yale? They signed out of Massachusetts. Notre Dame's not signing 4 of those a year. These dudes just haven't played. They just haven't made plays. And that's been a big kick in the pants. And now you're Greathouse and Faison, obviously the lacrosse player, but they're better at slots. Who's the outside guys? Dude.
Yeah,
when Goolsby and I, because obviously we want to get together next month. When we do our position breakdowns, we're going to spend a lot of time at probably a couple spots.
The thing is that this whole narrative where, look, by the way, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. So if I'm not bringing the energy like usual, I'm tired. Tim, I'm sure you are too with 3 kids, but so we're not trying to be Eeyore here, but the discussion about this completely changes if they get Meadows. Like it does. I don't think it should. I don't think that solves all of the problems, but it would definitely help because he's a great talent. So
because
Tim, you've got 30 seconds. We got to read an ad here.
Yeah, but what's the odds of him playing as a freshman? So you're waiting till 2026. It's the same. Notre Dame's going to go to the portal. They got to get 3 wide receivers to get on the field for a brand new quarterback for 2025. That's what this whole class.
3 more portal receivers after taking 3 more.
I would. That's just me. I would attack the portal instead of trying to get, some other guys if Meadows doesn't come. I would save that spot for someone else and use that money to go get the dude.
Notre Dame fans, we know you love Augie's locker room because it's got the most unique Fighting Irish memorabilia and one-of-a-kind Notre Dame items. You can only find it at one place, and that is, of course, Augie's locker room, which has moved to a brand new location. I guess it's not so brand new anymore. They've been there since, I believe it was October or November. But check out Augie's Locker Room, the new store located 1733 North Ironwood Drive in South Bend, right down the street from Notre Dame. So whether you're driving through, you're local, you're coming in town for a game, whatever the case may be, you got to make time for Augie's Locker Room. Check out their wide selection of Notre Dame Stadium pieces, jerseys, helmets, autographs, and one-of-a-kind Rockney items. You can find exclusive Joe Montana signed items and famous sculptor Jerry McKenna's replicas of the bronze statues that you can find around the stadium. Auggie gets new stuff in all the time. If he doesn't have something that you're looking for in store, give him a call, and he's the kind of guy that's going to go out and find it for you. You can give him a call at 574-277-6363. Visit him at 1733 North Ironwood Drive in South Bend and see the vintage helmet display dating back to 1890. Augie's Locker Room.com. Again, 574-277-6363. All right, Tim. We usually kind of like start the show with some of these items. We're going to wrap down with we're going to go quick hitting through some of the things I find interesting on Twitter and whatnot these days. So On3 did have a rankings update Monday. The last one they had was in April. And since then you've had camps, Elite 11, the various 7-on-7s and everything. So it wasn't a big update in terms of big movers or anything, but this was, the last chance for the guys to, do a rankings update before, senior season start. So you have On3 ranking Will Black, Tim, moving him up 3 spots to number 2 overall in the country. So still a 5-star, of course, the number 1 offensive tackle in the country. The only player above him is Bryce Underwood, the LSU quarterback commit. 24/7 updated their rankings today. They moved him down 2 spots. I was actually surprised to see that. I thought that he would catapult into the 100 miraculously. But Tim, Will Black, number 2 overall player in the country. What's your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I was very surprised, to tell you the truth. There's some freaks on the D line, especially a couple of the DBs that I watched as well that are outstanding. The wide receiver just committed to Oregon. Every time you watch him, you're just like, can you come to Notre Dame? He's that damn good. But no, this is a big move. Big move. You go from Canada, the number 2 player in the country, and the guy ahead of him is, I believe, is the clear-cut best player in Underwood, who's a fantastic football player, quarterback. No, it's a big move. It's a big move for Will, especially because Charles, when he was on before, we talked about offensive tackles. I'm telling you, people, if you love watching film, watch the top 10 offensive tackles in this cycle. It's stacked. So for Will to be up there, be number 1 for On3 is awesome. I didn't see the 247 update. He dropped.
I think it was 176 to 178.
Really?
Something like that.
Hey, it is what it is. I guess Will Black's going to be 247 CJ Card this year, right? Is that how it's going to be? They're going to rotate? But no, it's a great offensive tackle class. Will Black is a stud. Fantastic football player. But definitely watch. There's a couple dudes in Texas, kid in Kansas who's outstanding, kid in Northern California and Carmel I love, who's going to Alabama, fantastic player. So great class of offensive tackle, and kudos to Will.
So many people in my Twitter mentions, rank Deuce a 5-star, you cowards. Not quite, but he did move up 26 spots. It's number 28 overall player. Kyle and I a few weeks ago were speculating on what Deuce might get ranked. After we had Charles on, I think it was that week, Kyle and I talked about it for our Friday show, which we will not have this week. Kyle's off on vacation, and I need to recharge the batteries a little bit, so we won't have a recruiting show this week. But I thought he would move up 1 spot in the quarterback rankings, possibly 2. He got the 2, so he's up to number 4 in the country, Tim. If he holds that 28 overall, that'll get him 5-star status. I think they only have 14 5-stars, 13, something like that so far. But there's Deuce Knight getting a nice bump up for a strong off season. There's no denying it. but as Charles always tells us, like the senior film, especially for those quarterbacks, is the most important.
Oh yeah, that's a great point with the off season. And Charles has talked about that. You've heard that mentioned a lot. I know you've talked about it. Deuce has talked about it. Riley Leonard gave a nice down at the Manning Academy. Someone asked him about Deuce, and he just gave him a nice 2-minute answer, just blowing review. He was just down there a sponge, sucking up all the information, working with all these older guys. I mean, he's still going to be in high school. And he's throwing with all these college, wide receivers. And so that was really cool to hear about Deuce, when he hung out with all the Notre Dame guys down there. And that was Mississippi, right? Yeah. With
Fairhope. Yeah. His hometown where Phillip Rivers.
Yeah. Phillip Rivers. Well. Yeah. So that was awesome. Excuse me, in Alabama. But Deuce, number 28, man, he's a 5-star when you look at it, when you look at the top 32, even though they only do 15 right now, but he's right there. He's going to be in that mix when it's all said and done. Great quarterback class. Guys, Charles talked about it. Right now, when you do the consensus, there's 6 quarterbacks in the consensus 32. So there's 6 5-stars, and Deuce is right on the outside looking in right now.
This is why, this is a big reason why, even if receivers, if they swing and miss, we'll see. But this guy on the screen right now is why I would not panic very much, because you got Deuce Knight, and you can find the article at blueandgold.com. I got to spend 10 minutes talking to him on Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember. It would have been Monday. I posted the article Tuesday. Deuce Knight, Auburn is trying to make another run at him. They were a bigger contender than most people thought the first time around. We've always talked about this, Tim, that these SEC schools are going to come in and come out and try to make a run, and then phase out, and then a new school come in. It's Auburn right now, but I highly doubt that actually moving anywhere. But Knight gave some pretty strong reviews about where he's at with his Notre Dame commitment. Jadon Blair, Tim, I think it was ranked in the top 30 according to On3. Then he dropped in the 80s, moved back up to 51. Talking to Charles about it, he said he spent so much time watching Jadon Blair film that he came away thinking that the previous drop was not warranted, so move him back up. So number 51 overall player, and more importantly, Tim, number 3 safety in America, moving up 5 spots.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about him when he committed, just his length, his athleticism. He could play over the top. I mean, he looks like Kyle Hamilton in the box when Kyle was dropping down in the box, just using that length all over the field and just sucking up space. Now, I mean, we talk about Taylor playing early. Blair's got to get on the field early. He does. He's got to get on the field. He's too damn talented, too damn large not to get out there and go play. So exciting. I mean, that's 3 top 50-ish players that Notre Dame's bringing in, which is good to see.
Yeah, and then lastly, the Dallas Golden moved up 10 spots too, and then there's a few other that Notre Dame commits.
Yeah, he's right on the cusp of a 93 rating, which is a top 100 category. So he's right there. And Burgess, I think, was up there. No, Burgess, he's in the consensus top 100-ish thought process.
Yeah, and then there were some small moves dropped.
This one shocked the hell out of me.
So Flanagan, 92 overall player in the country, up 45 spots, just moved up 1 spot in the tight end rankings. There's not that many tight ends compared to receivers. You could be the number 18 wide receiver and be the number 70 overall player in the country. There's so many receivers. The thing about Flanagan, from what I was told, Tim, and talking to Charles, is that the track and field data was just nuts. That Flanagan was putting up some crazy numbers. I don't have them, but James Flanagan, and I did. Charles sent me some audio where he was talking about these 4 guys and why they got their bumps. I haven't listened to all of it yet, but I will transcribe it soon and get that story at blueandgold.com. But yeah, James Flanagan's one that On3 is really excited about.
Oh yeah, he's a stud on film. I mean, he's a no-brainer. I know they're recruiting him, and then the Roberts guy down in Oklahoma, who's a damn good tight end as well. But look at that. Everyone's got him in the top 10. He's a top 10 athlete when you watch him. He's a guy that back in the old days, if they didn't need him at tight end, you can move him to DN and he would kick ass at Notre Dame as a DN. He's that good. But I love that in Charles's interviews about using his track and using the multiple sports and just taking those numbers into account with his athleticism, and which is awesome. So he's a tear on the field because his dad won't let him be anything other than that. So really excited for him to come to Notre Dame, and he's got a lot of he's a combination of just so many of the guys. He's a hell of a receiver. When you watch him run, he looks like a little bit of Raritan. He blocks like some of the stuff that Mayer does, and obviously when Brock Wright, a little mix of him. So mix it together. I've always thought of him as a Cole Kmet type of a player. So
Yeah,
fantastic athlete.
Yeah, I like that. Moving along, Tim. I've mentioned this a few times. I really like this college football report Twitter account. So I think the data was from 24/7, but we'll forgive them for that. So on the and for podcast audience, I apologize, but there's a graph where on the left side you have average number of players drafted the last 10 years, and then the other axis is average rank of recruiting class. And he even has that green bar in the top right, which means they recruit elite and send players to the draft, which is Michigan, LSU, Georgia, Ohio State. There is a group of they recruit well, struggle to get their players drafted. Oregon, A&M, Texas, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, some of this, and it makes sense. Iowa punching above their weight class. Yeah, that makes sense. Lower ranked recruiting classes, but like look how they're elevated there above your Pitts, your Minnesota, your Cal, your Texas Tech, those schools. And then there's a group that just seems like that kind of tier 2-ish in college football these days. Your Florida, your Penn State, your Clemson, your Oklahoma, your Notre Dame, Auburn. There's a few logos that are smashed together there. Can't see it. Florida State, Miami might be there. But yeah, Tim, what'd you think? I'm hoping you got to take a look at this. What'd you think?
Oh, no, I did. I actually saw this when it came out a couple nights ago, and I saw this. I was like, I found it fascinating. It's funny. Iowa, you go right to Iowa. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's all you hear about is they take a bunch of Joe Alts, develop them at multiple positions, and next thing you know, those dudes are playing in the NFL for a decade. And yeah, the top chart, I'm like, please do not send that to Derek Meadows. You got LSU in Alabama right there. Delete that real quick. And he took a trip to Michigan as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Those are guys that have won, national championships right there in the last decade. And then that middle bunch, that little middle tier right there is a hodgepodge of really good football programs. And obviously Clemson is the one in there that's won a title in recent years.
Yeah. Next, on threes, Andy Staples, kind of little college football blue bloods list. Interesting stuff here, Tim. So he has Bama, no doubt, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Michigan, Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas, SC, Penn State. First of all, any disagreements?
Yeah, Penn State is an interesting one. I just always, I know they had a couple great years, obviously Joe Pa and things of that nature. So, yeah, I guess I could see it. But by the way, let me give a quick kudos. Google or go on YouTube and type in Andy Staples Blue Bloods. Unbelievable interview. This all started real quick with Justin Hopkins, who's longtime beat writer for the Oregon site, came on, talked about Oregon recruiting, and is Oregon a blue blood? This is how this whole thing started. They had a great talk, and then Andy got into his at the end. But it's and he got into a bunch of fan mail and reader mail talking about blue bloods. Like, of course, Notre Dame was the lightning rod since they haven't won anything since '88, even though I always say '93. But you're like, what is the criteria? Is it historical? Are we doing current blue bloods? Which Andy got into that as top, the last 40 years. Blue bloods meaning you've been around for a long time, you've been doing it. But no, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to get into this on the message boards. I want to chat with some guys because I'm one. I've gone back, as I keep talking about, since '93. So '94 to 2023. looking at Notre Dame compared to all these, and all these right here, Notre Dame's in that 12 to 15 range when you look at criteria. So they're on the outside looking into the top 10 right now over a blue blood period, which one of the callers said should be 40 years, should be, a couple generations to reevaluate these all the time, which Florida State, LSU right on the cusp as well. So it's a cool topic to dive into.
And then you have in the contenders category Florida State, LSU, Clemson, Nebraska, which I
Which
know
is
John in the
controversial because
chat.
they champs in the obviously dominant teams in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but they haven't done anything since that championship run of 001 when they lost to Miami. Haven't heard from them since.
And then you have Miami, Florida, Auburn, Tennessee, Oregon. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't have any super strong opinion. I think it's a good it's pretty solid.
Hey, check out this little stat. I had a few minutes today before I took my son to karate, so I like to look at numbers. 10-win seasons, Mike. 10-win seasons. So I just went once again. Notre Dame's last national title. Everyone knows I love to say 93. So from 94 to the 2023, Notre Dame in 10-win seasons is 15th out of this group. So I found that a little fascinating. Ohio State, Mike, 23 10-plus win seasons. Alabama's at 20, Oklahoma 19, and Georgia. Even though you think of the run with Kirby Smart, that's one thing I did because blue bloods like Georgia. You go back, Georgia's had a hell of a long run of good football. They just went 40 years without a title, and then they went back-to-back wins. But it's right there. It's right there. It's an interesting thing just to play with numbers and things of that nature. So Notre Dame needs a big season in 24, 25, and just keep this thing going.
Tim, the normal, just average college football player to some of the best in the country got paid $600, right? So that is, CJ Carr got $600, to Riley Leonard $600. Maybe some of the guys who are more big time got a little bit more. I don't know. You know what Arch Manning reportedly got? Did you see this, Tim?
I watched the video. I thought the video was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yes.
50 to 60K for doing that little commercial.
Name, image, likeness, Mike. There you go. That's awesome.
50 reportedly, right, from Pete Nakos, who does a pretty good job covering NIL for On3, but 50 to 60K, which he wasn't going to be in the game. And was he just or him or his team or whatever negotiating for more cash? 50 to 60K. That's awesome.
Oh, the
happy for him.
Yeah, exactly. So when I jump on Twitter at night just to read the crazy news of the day, and I thought the video was outstanding. When they're like Arch is in the game, and then they did a video with his uncle. That was seriously, that's some big time promotion. But EA Sports has been doing this like crazy the last couple of weeks. But to save that for the weekend before the big game drops was pretty cool. But that was $50,000 at the Mannings, man. That's a couple steakhouse dinners. Come on.
All right. So that's going to do it for this week's show. We will be back next week. I can't remember, Tim, if that's we're going to Tuesday.
I want to say in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks is when you start your fun Wednesdays with the wife.
All right. Next Wednesday. Yeah. I do have an appointment, but it's from 11 to 12:30. So yeah, we should be good to go next Wednesday night. Well,
we'll talk.
I'm off work next Wednesday.
Exactly. We may take a bye week we
may take a bye week. But either way, Horka and Soba will be doing their show. Kyle and I will be back next week. So yeah, we may take a bye week for this Hyde and Singer show. But probably not our best show ever. Just the receiver talk kind of dominated it, and there's just a lot of different angles to go with that, Tim. But yeah, so we covered that. We talked about Ivan Taylor. I was about to say it, and his replacement, but I also argued for it not being his replacement. And then, yeah, we talked about some fun little facts and figures here. So if you just tuned in, rewind. Tim, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just everyone, just positive on the wide receiver. It's not Meadows has not made a choice. Notre Dame's been in it since day one,
Tim,
and Robinson's an absolute stud. It's Notre Dame, Washington. He's gonna flip a coin probably. It's Notre Dame, Washington. He's right there. He's right there. He could go two. Hines, it sounds like, is already, I think, a Fong bomb
Hines
blew up, right? So Hines, he wants to go play slot, and Lincoln Riley, that happens. So
I am shocked. I really thought you would be, because you have no problem taking the pessimistic glass half full take, which is just you're calling it how you see it, which I get it. But this one that you're kind of glass half full, I'm surprised.
It's recruiting. I've been around this for a billion years. It feels like it's like, man, it's
but you've been so hung up on 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, and now you're like, oh, it's gonna be okay. I don't know. I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, I mean, 5 stars is, when you get into like looking at data, looking at how is Notre Dame truly doing? Are they moving up? Are they elite? At the end of the day, they're hovering around number 10. Is number 10 going to be good enough? Like we said, they're going to finish more than likely in that maybe 9 to 10 range, let's say.
Yeah.
Unless all the dominoes fall and something crazy happens. But
worked for Michigan.
That'll be 3 straight top 10 classes, number 10 classes. So can Freeman take stacking talent over 3 years and win with that now? So that's the thing. We'll see what happens. But hey, they haven't made decisions. And I think that's the good thing. And Notre Dame is in it. They've been 1 or 2 with these 2 guys the entire way. So let's see how it ends, man. Let's see how it ends.
Folks, if you're not done so yet, please put or hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. If you're new, go to blueandgold.com. If you just can't get enough of Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage. Appreciate you all. I'm Mike Singer. He's Tim Hyde. We will catch you guys next time.